Yes, we're going live all over the place now. Start taping, or I should say broadcasting. There goes the podcast. Facebook's up. And let's pop over to YouTube. I was in bed most of the day. I just woke up. It's almost 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. Pretty cool that it's daylight savings, so we have some more sunlight to work with today. But I felt tired, under the weather, just kind of run down. So I was in bed till 5:30. These moments of pulling back can give you great clarity mentally when you're not in the craziness of the world, when you're not rushing forward, feasting on the news, busy with surviving, working a job to make ends meet, get health benefits, and being really focused on just trying to care for the basic needs of your family. The way to escape what seems to be madness going on in the world, and you see it, I see it. I don't really see it as much because I don't spend much time in the world, but overcoming this chaos, stepping out of the madness, just migrating out of the delusion, out of the insanity, fear. So many people have fear in their mind. The ego has fear, 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 fear. The way to escape is to pull back and train your mind every single day. 4:30. Yeah, that's right, Andrew. Good afternoon. Good evening. From right by Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. By the way, guys, here down in Little River, which is right by Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle Beach, technically. So down by the shore. When you pull back from the world and you sit in a quiet room, and that has to be a prerequisite. You could have no distractions because the distractions of the world, it pulls you right out. Yeah, definitely. Probably like 7:30 down here. Because I'm thinking last night was like 6:30-ish. It was light till. So I'll be adding that hour. So I'll try to go out. I feel really tired, but I'll try to go out in a little bit for a little light walk, I think. If you give yourself time every single day to train your mind, you will begin to observe the illusion that is the craziness of the world. If you don't give yourself time to train your mind, you will choose to step into the craziness of the world and get caught up in fear and division and separation and danger and all of these illusions. They seem real. They appear to be real. But seemings and appearings are not real. That's why we call them seemings and appearings. The reality is love and oneness and not craziness of the world. The reality is just power and love and unity. But the only way you make these realizations is pulling back entirely from the world on a daily basis and giving yourself in a quiet room 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a half hour to train your mind. Because the more you train your mind, you begin to realize that it's all in your mind. The craziness and the frenetic nature and things that scare you are fear in your mind that you're projecting onto the world. If what were out there happening to you, and if you appeared to be a victim, a lot of people in their mind, there's a part that says, I am a victim to this person, I'm a victim to this law, I'm a victim to this country, I'm a victim to this business. It's not true. It can't be. It would totally, if that were true, if it were out there versus in here, like stuff happening to you and not in your mind, if it appeared to be outside of your mind, if you're saying it was, it would completely invalidate what all the wisest enlightened beings have said for millennia. So they're the ones that mastered their mind, and they're telling you it's all in your mind. Jesus Christ, Lord Buddha, Sri Ramana Maharshi, Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda, his gurus. and just all the enlightened souls, all the trained, fully perfected minds, they tell us again and again and again and again and again that madness is an illusion, that fear is an illusion, that everything is in reality. It's not fragmented. I appear to be talking to you. We look like two puppets talking to each other, but we're one. And you'll see what looks like craziness out there and puppets running around and screaming, but then just acting mad. But those beings haven't trained their minds from they're living from the illusion of fear, the terror of fear, the insanity of fragmentation, separation. Not true. It can't be. Seems like it. And these are only realizations that you make when you lock your door to a room every day and spend time in quiet. Because once you begin to really train your mind, you see through the illusions and you live in peace amidst the chaos of the world. It all becomes a cosmic play of these unlimited minds, these infinite spirits that are choosing to identify with the ego, with the body, and all that madness, which is just not true. It's not true. But you have to train your mind, and there's different methods for training your mind. It's going to happen when you're away from the world. That's first off. So you're not going to be in the world, meaning thinking from fear, thinking from scarcity, feeling from a sense of separation. You have to go into quiet, guys. It's the only place where it's going to happen because you're not good enough yet mentally. Your mind's not strong enough. You're not going to be like one of those enlightened beings in India who could sit in the middle of a train station in Delhi. And since they've mastered their mind, they see the illusion of it all. They have pure tranquility up here. You and I, to escape the madness. And today was a really good example. Just feeling, and I know it's all in my mind. I know it's the ego projection onto the body. That's how it happens. But just feeling like under the weather and tired. So I'm like, let me stay in bed. And the more I'm out of the world and not doing anything with Facebook or Twitter, or I mean, I don't follow news in 25 years, but just getting out in the world, just being in quiet in the bed and sleeping and listening to A Course in Miracles and reading A Course in Miracles. I got the idea from this video from Spirit. Because you know I usually talk about blogging tips, but just trying to honor what Spirit's telling me to do because I'm training my mind. And it's like, this could be really timely right now. There appears to be a lot of madness out there. There seems to be a lot of madness. It's not in the background. It's Kelly. Where's Goop Man? All right. But, hey, you have to train your mind. Like really, really, really train your mind 1,000,000 times as much as you've ever trained your body if you've ever been into fitness. And that's actually kind of symbolic. When you take care of your body, it can be very beneficial. I mean, everything's in the mind ultimately, but it could be a symbolic activity to help attune your mind. But you have to train it. There's A Course in Miracles, which is a guide for mind training. There's meditating. There's Kriya Yoga. The methods don't really matter. It's just training it. And those are just ideas that I share for you to be practical. I resonate the most with A Course in Miracles because reading it and doing the lessons has had the most profound effect on my life because it's had the most profound effect on my mind training. It's helped me really begin to train my mind in a genuine way to where I see through the illusions more and I see the oneness. I see that it's not madness. It's just the illusion of fear and people that don't train their minds and living from fear and reactiveness, but they're all connected. They're all connected. And as long as you don't train your mind, you're going to see separation. And when you see separation, you see madness. You see good, bad, patriotism, racism, human racists. And that's for all the fans of the interstellar species out there, the hundreds of millions of beings that are in the galaxy. That's unlimited. We're human racists, so we hate ourselves. The ego hates itself. So you train your mind, you see through this madness and you live in serenity because you see it's all in your mind. So if you see what appears to be madness in, say, a country where there's a war, that's in your mind. When you train it, you see it. It's all encompassing. It doesn't appear to be that way if you don't train your mind. Because you're like, oh yeah, judging by poor appearances happen over there. I have nothing to do with it. We're all co-creating, all 7 billion minds that are really linked as one in reality, but we're co-creating everything we see, and every experience in your life you create in your mind and you project it because you're a god. You mind train, you start to see that you're a god, lowercase g. The cool part about the Course is Jesus breaks down practically through simple lessons that could be highly uncomfortable and highly unbelievable, and as he says, startling, and totally like, how do you understand it? It just completely, some of these things he says, it's like he got off the Weirdmobile from Mars, just like totally outer space. But the more you actually do the lessons and you stop judging the crap out of it from your ego, if you just stop judging it, because the ego will judge that book like you've never seen anything, especially if you have a Christian or Catholic upbringing. The ego will judge it, and it will just, the more you do the lessons and you stop judging and you just do it, you'll see that every single word in that book is the truth. But some of those truths are going to be buried under years of no mind training, fear, guilt, separation, rage that you've been projecting onto the world and blaming the world for, and saying how crazy it is out there, how bad people are. And the only reason you're saying these things, guys, and why you see this craziness is because of what's in your mind. You're projecting it. When you train the mind, you face your fears, you face your guilt, you don't project it. This is what mind training does. Then you start to see it feels really unpleasant to face your fears and guilt. It feels very uncomfortable to feel these emotions that all of us have just buried. Grief, guilt, rage, buried in the mind. However, you begin to liberate yourself from these emotions, from these feelings, from these states of being, and then you tune into a different world. So you don't see craziness anymore. I'm just getting started on this journey, but largely, and I still see it sometimes, so I'm getting started, but certain areas of life, especially with the news, I don't see that craziness. It's not in my mind. There's no match. For me to really resonate with the news, I'd have to be enraged and have guilt and grief and fear. It would be that real good projection match. That's what happens when you really follow the news, because that's fear. It's not love. It's not oneness. It's fear. And that's okay. It is what it is, but that's still an illusion. And it appears real, and people behave according to that illusion. You'll say, oh, it's their problem, but you have to always say it's never their problem. It's in your mind. So the more you train your mind, you're going to see, holy smokes, it really is all in your mind. Everything, every experience you have is a projection, because you're a lowercase g God. And that's the beauty of the Course, and the beauty of Jesus brings you into his perfected mind that controls time and space, and you'll get ideas from, even if you're not religious, you could say from Fred. I like how David Hoffmeister, one of the coaches, Fred could send you ideas, or the intuition, or your gut. If you're an atheist, say the gut, my gut sent me. But if you have some resonance with Jesus, maybe you're raised Catholic, or he just seems like such a loving guy, you'll start getting guidance from him and from the Holy Spirit. Yeah, go do this. Yeah, Ryan, you feel sick. I know you feel sick, but yeah, just go do this video. Let the time ride. Do my work. Do my work for me. You'll love it. And I do love this. This is so much fun. And it's such a, just like an overwhelming experience emotionally when you start really listening to spirit and you don't do things from the ego. And it's like, you could see like tearing up here. It's a whole different reality where you put largely fear and pain and madness behind you, and you do what brings everybody together. You live with love, and that's a phenomenal way to live. It's a phenomenal way to live, but you gotta train your mind, because if not, that craziness is going to appear to be really real, and it's only because of the fear in your mind. You're projecting it. You're seeing it. You're being it. You're stepping into it. It's within your mind. Your mind is a movie projector, guys. I mean, now we're more digital, but think of the old school projector. If you have these experiences, let's say you follow the news, you're projecting into your mind these scenes. And the only reason different news scenes, and I might move on to the headlines, I don't follow it, but I see this stuff on Twitter, of course. The only reason you follow the news is because mentally you choose to do it because you're projecting your fear onto the world. If you face your fears and you stop doing anything other than training your mind, you're going to face a lot of your fears. You're going to feel them. It'll feel horrible. It feels bad to feel crippling guilt and to feel grief, to feel all these fear-based emotions, shame and embarrassment. It doesn't feel good. It's uncomfortable. But as you clear them, you lose your taste for any part of the world that's mad, that's full of rage and separation and judgment and guilt and grief. And you stop following the news because you lost your taste for it. There's no projection. You're not going to project that. When focus on that world, see the madness when it's not in your mind. So if you see madness, there's madness in your mind. You say, no, it's them. And I'll say, no. Start doing the course. It's you, which is great because then you don't have to be a victim anymore. Doesn't that sound good? I mean, think of it. You said it so well. Is this to train our mind is all in the mind? Thanks for touching upon this, Ryan. A writer's routine. Thanks so much. Please, if you don't want to share your name, that's okay. But I'm trying to see your avatar. I know you. I've just been kind of under the weather today. I've been in bed for like the past 17 hours. So, but thank you so much. It is all in our mind, guys. I know. And the course, the reason why I keep coming back to it, guys, is I love it because it's like you get to be free and happy and live in peace and not be afraid. Wouldn't that be great? And not blame and not see yourself as a victim. And like anything that's going on in your life, you see that it's a projection of your mind and you can quote unquote fix it. Yeah, life will always throw challenges and overwhelm us, but mind is our strength. Amen. It's all in the mind, guys. And the actions you take will be from your mind. The thoughts you think will be from your mind. The feelings you feel will be from your mind. The choices you make will be from your mind, will be in your mind. Oh, Ranja, okay, right, Ashuni. Thank you so much. Much love, my friend. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, thank you, Holy Spirit, for giving me this idea, man. I got to start doing these again. I was just unwinding a lot. That's what happens too, guys. As you go deeper into your mind, you're going to wind a lot of fear and guilt, grief. I've just stepped away from this because I've been unwinding and it's been perfect place, perfect time, but just experiences from early in my life that I've buried in my mind that festered as deep fear and guilt, crippling guilt, grief, loss, rage. And we'll get into those experiences because you have to forgive them. You forgive them. You forgive it all. You're an unlimited mind. This infinite spirit that lasts forever. Andrew's an infinite spirit that lasts forever. Ranja's an infinite spirit that lasts forever. Ryan's an infinite spirit that lasts forever. We all have unlimited minds. When you start really getting into this and you start realizing it and training, you're going to be like, wow, what have I been doing? You don't give your power to anybody else. You don't look to people as saviors. You don't even look at leaders. How nice is that? My life's really nice. I don't have a leader. There's nobody who governs me. I mean, of the world, there appear to be laws, but you guys know the drill. It's how you frame it. But you have to really train your mind and you got to get in there. And I am just partial to the course. There's different methods, but I'm so partial to the course because like David Hoffmeister, one of the top teachers of the course, he says, give it to me. Jesus gives it to you straight, not on the rocks, just a straight shot. And he says things in the book that will twist your mind upside down because he's perfect. He's pure light and love. So any fear, any illusion, the body stuff, the sickness, it's not on his radar screen. It never was. That's why he healed. People touched him and he healed, right? It was their mind, their faith, their mind being open to his perfect light and love. None of that, no fear was on his radar screen. He mastered his mind. And when you read the course, you get the full full Monty, but you get the full. This guy, he really goes into it, and it's interesting. But you start doing what he says, and you do these training exercises, and you repeat them, and you look around the room, you look around the. This stuff comes up. You got to unwind. That's one of the ideas of the course too, guys, and mind training in general. It's not about adding anything really. It's about unwinding the fear and that illusion and separation and delusion and insanity and these falsehoods that we've all been wound up with in the world. Now, we've been wound up with them. There are still illusions, but they appear to be very strong illusions. Military-industrial complex, government, presidents, laws, and debt-slave complex, just the employment system. These are all illusions. Hey, Donna, they're all illusions because they're based in fear, but you have to really train your mind to see it, because if you don't train your mind, then you're going to be afraid that you're victimized by the matrix of fear. And then when you see that it's an illusion, you change your mind, you train your mind, it doesn't bother you. That's why with me, I moved away from a lot of the conspiracy stuff, and I still see it. And I know the ego goes, oh yeah, they're doing that. And this head of the council is doing this, and he's trying to, it's an illusion. The more you train your mind, you see it's an illusion. Only love is real. We're all infinite spirits. The only reality is that we're an infinite spirit. We last forever. You start realizing this a little bit at a time, little lights poke through, like little opaque lights. You're not going to see the craziness of the world. You're just going to see a lot of people who are suffering from mental misunderstandings. And you'll forgive them in that you'll release them. It's an atonement they talk about in the course, the atonement, like the release. Let go of the world. Let go of the world. Got to train the mind, guys. And I've done this on and off for a while, forms of mind training, but the course over the last number of months, just a number of triggers in my mind, deep fear, guilt, grief. I mean, stuff with my blog, stuff with blogging from paradise, and different aspects of my life that triggered stuff in my mind that had to be faced, had to be unwound. I mean, faced, but unwound, because we're wound up with it. We enter this world. I mean, we're all unlimited minds, all the powers, infinite spirits. But, you know, we appear to enter this world. We are light and love. We move into this baby body thingy as pure light and love. And at that point, even though we appear to be caring for the baby on a worldly level, you can see that more, because babies are just ha ha ha, you know, predominantly. And just little kids, they're just light and love. And in the moment, and you see that's who we are. Mind training helps you unwind all the stuff you picked up, the shame, the embarrassment, the racism, the judgment of infinite beings for voting a certain way. I mean, you got to get into your mind. You have to get into your mind. If you don't, then you step into the craziness of the world. And that's okay to do that. There's no right or wrong, but you'll be in the craziness of the world. And when you realize that it's a completely sane alternative would be to train your mind and step out of it and to feel really good and to have fun and to live your dreams and to just experience. That's what life is, this illusion of human life. Experience. Be. Follow your intuition. Trust the Holy Spirit. Then you will completely migrate from the craziness of the world and the madness and the news and the wars and all that, all these situations that are completely held together by the illusion of fear and separation. And none of it's all fear. That craziness is all fear. It's all people suffering from misunderstandings, and what appears to be brutality is misunderstanding. What appears to be but all these, and it's the more you train your mind, you forgive it, you let it go. There's no combativeness in you. You're like, I'm going to forgive that because I know it's all in here. And the forgiveness is just, sometimes I struggle with it when they talk about, Jesus talks about it in the course, but it's just release. I mean, for me, that's what helps, like, let it go. Like I let go of the news 20 plus years ago. Like it's following on a day-to-day basis at 25 years, so a quarter century, over half my life, or a little under half my life, 47 now. So that's forgiveness. It's like I let it go, but I had to train my mind to do it. I mean, back then I did. A few times in between over the years, there's some fear that I was projecting, where I was kind of, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that, some of the conspiracy theory stuff. And then I realized, I have more fears to unwind from my mind, so I stopped stepping into the craziness. And mind training is uncomfortable. Like I'm just trying to think, like Kelly and I live a really cool life. We circle the globe. We're right by Myrtle Beach now. We'll be going by Charleston in South Carolina. We circle the globe. We travel the world. We inspire. We blog. It's so much fun. But living this life of freedom, worldly freedom, very few attachments really, where we just go from here to there, digital nomads, no home base. It required deep mind training to recruit, to unwind all the fears that strangled our mental freedom. Because you only live a life of freedom, a worldly life. Remember, it's outside, it's inside out. It's not outside in. So if you see someone that lives a life of worldly freedom, they go wherever they want. They face tons of fears and they train their mind to seek freedom, to be free. Maybe not largely. I'm not enlightened, but you have to go within and you have to spend that time. And there's no way around it. If you don't spend that time training, if you don't spend that time observing your fears, if you don't spend that time sitting with your guilt's a huge one, guys, because in the Course, Jesus talks about we all have this ring of fear of the ego. We're living from the ego, at least predominantly, or aspect of our mind is coming from the ego, that was wound up basically when we split from God. And then we didn't split. We're all one in God, but it's still this illusion that appears to be so strong. We really appear to be bodies, and you see how the world treats funerals and death, and like it's like a body was over. But the more you train your mind, you see that it's more of a puppet. And then you see it really is a puppet, and you see that your mind controls it and it tells it what to do. And these are all very startling concepts because they sound insane. But the truth is, an insane world conditioned you otherwise. If you don't train the mind, you'll never see it. You'll be in the world and you'll be in craziness. And we've all experienced it. I still experience it sometimes. Kelly still does. But we've really made a devout effort to train our minds, and we're just inviting you to really train your mind, to step out of the craziness of the world. There appears to be so much stress. There seems to be so much chaos and madness and death. If you want to step out of that, make a blanket decision to spend 5 to 10 minutes minimum every day in a quiet room, lock the door, and begin considering how to train your mind. And I threw out a couple practical ideas. My favorite, The Course in Miracles, acim.org, or you could find it on Amazon, A Course in Miracles. Meditating, Kriya Yoga. The Course is good, though, because it's just a manual for it. Jesus lays out the words. And he talks in first person. And he brings up points from the Bible, some of which you're like, different interpretation from a perfect mind of love, but just, some of the misunderstandings. Or, most of it, understanding and love. And so he lays it all out. And I figure that's the most direct, practical way. Read the book, do the lessons, you're repeating words, and you're feeling them through. And it's so direct when you think about it. It's just, like in the book, Jesus says meditating is tedious. And it is. And meditating can be great too, but it is on the tedious side. And the Course is not. You want to get it straight, not on the rocks, David said, not on the rocks, straight shot. You get that book and you start reading it every day. And when you pick it up, like Kelly and I, you want to resist. Like when we first picked it up, like so many people who first pick it up, if they ever do, you want to be aware of the ego judging the crap out of it and putting it down because it's too much, because it completely shatters its world and its dogmas and its madness and its political parties and its leaders, and it will shatter, which is a great thing because that's all madness. It's all crazy. Crazy stuff. It's all insane. Why do you want to be in craziness? You don't want to be in craziness. You don't want chaos. No, you want peace. We all do. Because we're all infinite. We're here we're not here forever, but we're existing forever. We really, really are. You know it. You've seen all the enlightened beings. Most of us have. To eternity. Jesus meant it. He's enlightened soul. They mean it. They really mean it. So the training of the mind, over a half hour, that's good, helps us discover these truths. And it helps you live from energies intense of peace. The energy of peace, the mindset of peace, the mindset of compassion and empathy and calm and serenity. So there appears to be all this craziness going on in the world. Uh-oh. Let's go back to bed for a little bit. Craziness. I'm tired. In my mind, of course, protecting my body. But the more you train your mind, you'll see through the illusion of craziness, and you'll project images of peace, and you'll come across videos like this, and then you'll buy the course, or you have it, or you can listen to some of the audio books. Some chapters are on YouTube, audio books. Just a little bit, because it's like a 700-page book. Where's that? I think it's in the other room. But give yourself the time and work your way up. The more time you spend in quiet, you're going to become hyper aware of your mind and your thoughts and your feelings and your fear. And then you're going to start seeing, and it's unsettling at first, guys, when you start to let go and forgive, unwind the victim mentality, you start seeing that it's all inside of your mind and that we're all one. It's not out there. Because for it to be out there happening to you or apart from you, you have to be a victim. Correct? Makes sense logically, but that's where hell is. And a lot of people think of a pitchfork and devil. Hell is the ego. Heaven is pure love. Heaven is pure light and love. We always have it right here, right now. Most people live in the ego, and then when they pass from the body, when they exit the body, when they place it aside, sometimes violently, then they see the light, and what pure death, near-death experiences. Thinking pure light. You see all these NDEs on Twitter, or no, not Twitter. Nobody's on Twitter, but YouTube, and they talk about, I went into the light, rather. And it was God's embrace, and it was so warm, and it was the best feeling ever. And then they came back to Earth, and they felt a little bit like an alien. But then they lost their fear of death because they saw how sweet it is to be in heaven. The enlightened beings bring that here now in this world. Like Kevin's here. When you train your mind, it's not there. And hell is the ego. That's what hell is, the ego. That's it. That's it. It's the ego. It's living from fear and separation. And you see evidence of this. Look at the hell that most people appear to live in because they don't face their fears. They don't realize it's their mind. They project fear. They fight. They kill, compete, judge. They see separation. They hate, grief. They feel guilt. So they create hell. And again, the news shows you hell. May seem familiar if your mind's really coming from a space of fear, but it's hell. Right? I mean, some of the headlines now that I know they keep, and that even something like, when you look at social, I use it for high energies, but I'm very aware of the hell-like nature of it when you just see they're trying to project fear and division and rage and judgment. So it's like, it's okay, that's hell, but still I'm training my mind. I see through it, and I use it to keep it high energy. So guys, I'm tired. I will roll. Thank you so much, guys. By the way, I run a blog. I know most of you guys know that, but anybody else, more people are finding me these days through the grace of spirit. Bloggingfromparadise.com is the blog. I teach people how to blog. I share smart blogging tips. I have 2 courses. I have a series of ebooks. I yanked the 126 from Amazon. I had a ton. And I'm just focusing on a select few that I put on Gumroad and sells. Intuitive Nudge, Intuitive Guidance. So there's ebooks for you. You can find in the ebooks tab, a couple courses, tons of blog posts, a couple videos, just helpful blog content to help you retire to a life of island hopping through smart blogging. So that's blogging from paradise.com. Thank you so much for the love, Donna and Andrew. Ranga, really appreciate it, guys, and everybody watching in the illusion of the future. It's all just the moment, right? Another thing we learn when we train our minds. If you want to know it's the moment and the time doesn't exist, do yourself a favor. When a bear hibernates, look over their shoulder and see if they consult the calendar. At night when the birds roost, that they go, oh, daylight saving, now we have until 7:30. No. When we say nature, we say internal clock. These are egoic terms, but there's no time. We're timeless. We appear to use it to create some sense of order, but that's another thing. Time creates a lot of problems because it's not real. Mind training, guys. So anyway, bloggingfromparadise.com. Check it out. Much love, everybody. I'm going to roll. Until next time, you know what to do. Enjoy Paradise Law.